The sun was just beginning to rise over Mississippi, casting a warm golden light on the faces of the people who gathered in the park. Excitement buzzed in the air, mixed with a hint of tension. It was a significant day, a day when voices would rise to demand justice and equality. People of all ages, races, and backgrounds came together, holding banners and signs that declared their hopes for a better future. At the front of the crowd stood Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his presence commanding yet comforting, as he prepared to lead the march. As the crowd began to swell, chants filled the air, echoing the dreams and struggles of many. Yet amidst this sea of determination and courage, a small figure sat alone on the curb, Micah Ray. At just 10 years old, Micah felt dwarfed by the enormity of the event around him. His hands were clenched tightly on his knees, and his body shook slightly as he watched the adults move about, their faces filled with purpose. While everyone else seemed ready to march forward, Micah was frozen in place by fear. He felt small and uncertain in a world that suddenly seemed so big and chaotic. The noise around him started to fade as he focused on his breathing, trying to calm his racing heart. Then Dr. King's eyes fell upon him. Instead of rushing past or urging him to join the throng, he made a decision that would change Micah's day, and perhaps his life. Dr. King stepped off the path and approached the young boy with kindness in his eyes. In that moment, he didn't see Micah as just another face in the crowd. He saw a child in need of comfort. And so, he sat down beside him on the curb, ready to listen and share words of support before they would step into history together. Micah Ray was a bright-eyed 10-year-old boy who lived in a world filled with wonder but also with uncertainty. Today, however, as he sat on the curb, his usual curiosity was swallowed by a wave of fear. The march around him seemed monumental. The voices of the crowd echoed like thunder in his ears, and he felt like a tiny boat lost in a vast ocean. While others stood confidently, brandishing their signs high above their heads, Micah's fingers clutched his knees tightly, wishing for the strength to join in but feeling trapped by his anxiety. His heart raced as he watched people hurry by, their faces set with determination. Each chant they shouted made him feel smaller and more insignificant. What if he made a mistake? What if he drew attention to himself for all the wrong reasons? These thoughts swirled in his mind like leaves caught in a whirlwind. Micah's breath quickened, and he could barely hear the words of hope and justice being spoken around him. Instead, all he could sense was the heavy weight of expectation pressing down on his small shoulders. He looked up at the vibrant banners fluttering overhead, their colors bright against the dawn sky, but they did little to lift the fog of fear that surrounded him. For Micah, this event was not just about a march. It was about standing up for what was right in a world that often felt too big and too loud. As he sat there, feeling lost and alone, deep down, he longed for someone to understand his fear and reassure him that it was okay to be afraid. Little did he know that help was on its way, in the form of a man whose heart was as big as his dreams for a better world. As the march began, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood at the forefront, his voice resonating with passion and purpose, rallying the crowd around him. With each word he spoke, he ignited a fire in the hearts of those listening, encouraging them to stand up for justice and equality. Yet, amidst the cheers and chants, his keen eyes scanned the crowd, searching for anyone who might need support in this pivotal moment. That's when he spotted Micah Ray sitting alone on the curb. The boy's small frame seemed dwarfed by the enormity of the event. Dr. King paused mid-sentence, feeling a pull in his heart as he noticed Micah's trembling hands and anxious expression. It was clear that this young boy was struggling to find his place in a world that felt overwhelming and intimidating. Rather than continuing to address the crowd or urging Micah to join in, Dr. King made a deliberate choice. He stepped away from the throng of marchers and approached Micah with gentle determination. In that moment, he saw not just a boy sitting on the sidelines, but a child who needed reassurance and compassion. Dr. King knelt beside Micah, lowering himself to eye level to eliminate any sense of hierarchy or intimidation. His warm smile was inviting, and it immediately began to ease some of Micah's fear. "Hey there," he said softly. "I see you're feeling a bit scared." In those first moments of connection, Dr. King showed Micah that it was okay to feel afraid, that even grown-ups faced moments of doubt. Instead of pushing him along or insisting he join the march, he took a moment to listen and connect, allowing Micah to feel valued in an atmosphere charged with urgency and hope. This simple act of kindness would soon become a turning point for both of them as they prepared to step into history together. As Dr. King settled beside Micah, the noise of the march faded into the background, creating a small bubble of calm around them. He looked deeply into Micah's eyes, wanting him to feel heard and understood. "It's okay to be scared, you know," he said gently, his voice warm and soothing. "This is a big moment, and it's all right to have those feelings." Micah glanced up at the towering figure of Dr. King, feeling both awe and comfort in his presence. It was as if the chaos of the march had transformed into a soft melody, allowing him to breathe a little easier. I don't know if I can do this," he admitted quietly, his voice trembling like the leaves in the gentle breeze. Dr. King nodded, showing Micah that he understood. "Sometimes it feels like there's a lot of pressure to be brave, but remember that every hero starts somewhere," he reassured him. "It's about taking one step at a time and knowing you aren't alone." Dr. King shared stories of his own fears when he was young, revealing moments when he felt uncertain and anxious. As they talked, Micah began to open up. He shared how he had wanted to march, but felt overwhelmed by the crowd and the significance of the day. With each word he spoke, the weight on his heart seemed to lighten just a little. Dr. King listened intently, nodding and encouraging him to share more about what he felt. "Your voice matters, just like everyone else's here," Dr. King emphasized with sincerity. "You have the power to stand up for what you believe in, even if it feels scary." With a smile, he added, "And sometimes, simply being here is a courageous act." In those precious moments, Micah realized that fear didn't have to stop him. Instead, it could become part of his journey toward courage. As Dr. King listened to Micah, he leaned in closer, his expression filled with genuine concern. He made sure to maintain eye contact, which made Micah feel seen and valued. Each time the boy spoke about his fears, Dr. King nodded knowingly, allowing Micah to feel that his feelings were not only valid but important. "It's completely normal to feel anxious about something so big," Dr. King said softly, his tones soothing like a gentle breeze. Micah noticed how Dr. King never interrupted him or rushed his words. Instead, he waited patiently for Micah to gather his thoughts, showing that he truly cared about what the young boy was saying. This simple act of listening helped to ease the tension in Micah's chest. He felt as if a heavy weight was slowly lifting. The more he shared, the more he realized that he wasn't alone in his fears. Dr. King's empathy was palpable. He recounted experiences from his own childhood where he faced fear and uncertainty, creating a bridge of understanding between them. "I once felt just like you," he shared, a soft smile on his face. "But with every step I took, things became a little clearer." Micah hung on to each word, realizing that even someone as respected as Dr. King had once faced similar feelings. This connection built an invisible thread of trust between them. As Micah spoke about wanting to march but feeling overwhelmed by the crowd, Dr. King listened intently, providing gentle encouragement. "You have a brave heart, Micah," he said earnestly. "Trust in yourself. You can join this fight for what's right." In that moment of understanding and support, Micah began to believe in himself just a little more. The anxiety that had once paralyzed him started to fade, replaced by a sense of belonging and courage that ignited within as they prepared to stand together for justice. With a newfound sense of comfort, Micah began to share his fears more openly. "I'm afraid that if I march, I won't know what to say or do," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "What if people look at me and think I don't belong?" He looked down at his shoes, feeling the weight of uncertainty pressing on him again. Dr. King nodded, encouraging Micah to continue. "It's completely understandable to feel that way," he replied warmly. "This march is not just about shouting slogans, it's about standing up for what you believe in and making your voice heard." As Micah listened, he felt a flicker of hope. "But what if my voice shakes? What if I mess up?" His eyes widened with worry, but Dr. King smiled gently as he recounted a story from his own childhood. "When I was young," he began, "I stood before a crowd much larger than this one. My heart raced and my hands trembled just like yours might be doing now. But you know what? I found strength in speaking from my heart. It doesn't matter how perfect your words are, what matters is the passion behind them." Micah's gaze lifted, captivated by Dr. King's story. The image of a young Dr. King trembling yet brave filled him with inspiration. "You really felt that way too?" Micah asked, surprised. "Yes," Dr. King confirmed with a kind smile. "Bravery isn't the absence of fear, it's the courage to move forward despite it." They shared stories back and forth. Micah spoke about his school, where he sometimes felt overlooked, and Dr. King shared tales of the civil rights movement filled with struggles but also victories that came from unity and hope. As their conversation deepened, Micah realized that everyone has fears and doubts, even those who seem strong and unshakable. With each story exchanged, he felt stronger and more connected to the purpose of the march, a purpose that was bigger than himself and worth standing up for together with others like Dr. King by his side. As Micah and Dr. King continued their conversation, a powerful bond began to form between them. In those precious moments on the curb, it felt as if time stood still, allowing both of them to step away from the noise of the march and embrace something deeper, understanding and connection. Dr. King's kind words wrapped around Micah like a warm blanket, creating a safe space where the boy could share his innermost fears without judgment. Micah realized that he was not alone in this moment. The great leader beside him had once faced the same insecurities and worries. This revelation sparked a sense of comfort and relief in Micah's heart. "It's like you really get me," he murmured, his voice steadying as he looked into Dr. King's eyes. Dr. King smiled broadly, recognizing how significant this moment was, not just for Micah but for the movement itself. Personal connections like theirs were the backbone of real change. They weren't just fighting for laws or policies. They were fighting for people with dreams, fears, and hopes for a better future. "I see you, Micah," Dr. King said earnestly. "And your feelings are important. When we stand together, we can create a wave of change." The way he spoke made Micah feel valued and empowered, as if his small voice could contribute to the louder call for justice around them. In that fleeting exchange on the curb, they became allies in a shared mission, a mission that transcended age and experience. As they stood up to join the march, Micah felt a new strength coursing through him. He understood now that movements for change thrive on these personal connections, where fear transforms into courage and doubts become stepping stones toward action. Together, they stepped into the crowd as one, united by the bond they had forged in those few minutes, ready to face the world and make their voices heard. After their heartfelt conversation, a new sense of determination filled the air around them. Dr. King looked at Micah, his eyes shining with encouragement. "Are you ready to take that brave step?" he asked, his voice steady and inviting. Micah felt a mix of excitement and nervousness swirling inside him, but he nodded, finding strength in Dr. King's presence. With a warm smile, Dr. King stood up first, extending his hand to Micah. "Let's do this together," he said firmly, embodying the support that Micah needed in that moment. As Dr. King rose, the noise of the march seemed to swell around them, a powerful reminder of the movement they were a part of. The energy of the crowd filled Micah with hope as he watched the great leader stand tall, a symbol of courage and change. Micah felt a surge of inspiration as he took Dr. King's hand and stood up beside him. For the first time, he didn't feel like just a small boy overwhelmed by fear. He felt like an important participant in something much larger than himself. Together, they faced the crowd, and Micah could see the faces around them filled with determination and hope. He remembered Dr. King's words about standing up for what is right, and in that moment, he felt ready. As they began to walk forward together, side by side, Micah looked up at Dr. King, who was leading the way with confidence and grace. The cheers of the crowd grew louder, echoing the dreams of many who had come together for justice. Micah realized that he was no longer alone. He was marching with someone who truly understood him and believed in his ability to make a difference. With each step they took together, Micah felt his fear transform into courage. Standing alongside Dr. King, he understood that they were not just marching for themselves but for all those who sought equality and justice. The bond they had forged on the curb now propelled them forward into history, united by their shared purpose and strength. As they began to march side by side, the atmosphere around them shifted. The crowd surged with renewed energy, voices rising in a harmonious chorus of hope and determination. Micah felt the heartbeat of the movement pulsating through the throng of people, each step echoing the shared goal of justice and equality. Dr. King walked confidently beside him, leading the way with an air of strength that inspired everyone around. With each footfall, Micah noticed how their unity sent a powerful message to those nearby. People looked on, their eyes reflecting admiration and encouragement as they witnessed the bond between a renowned leader and a young boy finding his courage. Together, they represented a beautiful blend of wisdom and innocence, reminding everyone that change begins with individual acts of bravery. As they moved forward, Micah felt a sense of belonging wash over him like a warm tide. He was no longer just a spectator but an active participant in something monumental. The cheers from the crowd grew louder, and he realized that he wasn't alone. They were all marching together for a common purpose, standing up against injustice and fighting for their rights. Dr. King occasionally glanced down at Micah with an approving smile, reinforcing the connection they had built moments earlier. "Remember," he said softly, "every step we take together counts. You are part of this moment." Those words resonated within Micah, fueling his determination to contribute to the cause. As they continued to march through the streets of Mississippi, the vibrant banners and passionate chants surrounded them like a wave of solidarity. With Dr. King by his side, Micah felt the weight of his fears dissipate, replaced by exhilaration and hope. They weren't merely walking, they were making history together, an inspiring example of how unity can ignite change and empower even the smallest voices to rise up for what is right. As the march continued, with Dr. King and Micah moving confidently among the crowd, it became clear that the day was not just about protesting for civil rights but also about the profound impact of small acts of kindness. What had started as a moment of fear for Micah blossomed into a journey of courage and conviction. Each step they took together was a testament to how a simple conversation could spark bravery in a young heart. In the midst of the chanting voices and waving banners, Micah looked around at the faces around him, some filled with determination, others reflecting their own stories of struggle and hope. He realized that every person marching had their own fears, doubts, and dreams. The presence of Dr. King beside him served as a reminder that true strength often comes from support and understanding. Reflecting on his brief chat with Dr. King on the curb, Micah understood how impactful their connection had been. It wasn't just Dr. King's famous speeches or powerful presence that inspired change. It was his ability to listen and empower others in their vulnerable moments. By sitting down beside him and offering reassurance, Dr. King had made Micah feel seen and valued, a crucial element in helping him find his own voice. As they marched onward, Micah felt emboldened by this experience, and knew he would carry it with him forever. It highlighted that even in grand movements for change, moments of personal connection hold incredible power. A kind word or an attentive ear can transform someone's fear into courage, showing them they are not alone in their struggles. At that moment, under the sunny Mississippi sky, Micah felt a sense of purpose radiate from within him. He understood that everyone has the ability to inspire courage through kindness, reinforcing the belief that together, whether young or old, they could pave the way for a brighter future where justice prevails.